Tim, thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to welcome you to the advisory board. I'd love to just start off by having you introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. My name's Tim Lockie. I'm the CEO, founder, and janitor here at Now It Matters. I'm also co-host for a podcast called Why It Matters.
Amazing.
My pronouns are he, him, and I live here in Bozeman, Montana.
Amazing. So on top of those job titles, I'd love for you to share if there are any other layers of your identity that are most important to you.
Yeah, so I'm also an economist. So I studied economics and really like that study and have never really escaped from it. So often I'm talking about economics. Being a husband and father is really important to me in all the ways that I will try to make the world better. None of them will compare to my kids and my wife and my family. So that's really important to me. And I'm a person of faith, although I feel like I started in one vein of that and I'm figuring out what that means, but I still haven't lost that. Like something matters about this, and I just feel like that's kind of a mystery and a discovery for me. And I think I'm an inventor. So I feel like I'm inventing something around nonprofits about the human stack and how humans are actually part of the technology. And so that's been an invention of mine that I've been working on for the last couple of years.
I love that. And I know you obviously alluded to it, you work with nonprofits. I'd love to hear just a little bit about where did that love story with the nonprofit space and impact begin for you?
Yeah, that really started, oh man, I don't think I can say this story without just saying it. I read a book called The Robe, which is like looking back on as this historical, complete fiction. That's a very Christian book, but in it, like when I was 15 or 16, and in it, this guy goes and is, of the people and around the people. And looking back, there's like so much patriarchy in there, and so much privilege is just like littered throughout the book. But it was so inspiring to me that was one really deep impact for me. And the other thing that got me started in this path was meeting a homeless guy named Joseph. When I was in high school and my family went to this one place, we were doing some work on renovating Denver Street School. And there's this homeless guy named Joseph who kind of befriended me for the week that I was there and gave me a fake Rolex watch, which I proudly wore to prom. And it was, I don't know why that was so impactful for me, but it hit me that people in poverty are people that have, that are just people. They're not problems. And so that really started to direct me towards what does this world look like, and why are people like Joseph unable to eat and drink the way that I do? And so I think that those were early influences that started me on this course, and then way leads into way. So here we are.
I love that. People in poverty are people, and I think especially doing nonprofit work, it's often you're so focused on, as as a data strategist and technologist, you're focused on what is the impact, what is the problem, how are we solving it, and it's often easy to lose the humanity in it all. So along with that, maybe that's maybe a misconception around nonprofit work, but from the work that you do, what do you think is the biggest misconception about the work that nonprofits are doing?
Oh, yeah. I was talking with a crypto friend of mine who has done really well in crypto, and we've become good friends. And so I think that there are a lot of these issues and misconceptions. But I encountered his in a different way, in which he was talking about how important it is to see high amounts of accountability and create, especially in the emerging crypto world, using DAOs to create ways to restrict funding that are actually like smart contract enabled, which just freaked me out while I was in this burger joint talking with him. And I was like, no, you don't understand. It's so important for the people that are there to know exactly what is best about what they need, and to actually create more fluidity around donors so that we're really focused on what participants need and not what donors perceive their needs to be. And so it was interesting to think about that in terms of smart contracts and, you know, DAOs and crypto. But I think that that's just, I think that that's been, you know, one of the issues from the beginning. And then I'm going to say one more. I know you only asked for one, but the other one that just as an economist, I just want to put out in the world is that in the for-profit world, you do as little as possible for as much as possible. And that gap is called profit. And in the nonprofit world, you do as much as you can for as little as possible. And you don't have something called price for services. Like, it's just a completely different model. And so there's a false equivalency drawn between what happens and what works for the for-profit world, especially around technology, and what happens in the nonprofit world. And so it's really important to understand the core economics of these economies are different. So we talk about impact economy, that's not just language. This is a different type of economy with different rules. And I think not enough people recognize that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think because there are different rules and components like you laid out, like there's also there's so much talk about more nonprofits should learn to operate like businesses, or like learn these business lessons for your nonprofit. And I always say that there's not enough people running for-profit businesses saying, well, what can I learn from nonprofit work? What can I learn from community-based engagement and work? What's a lesson that you've seen a nonprofit be really successful with that you wish more businesses would follow suit?
Yeah, I had a long conversation about this with Kate Ruff from the Common Approach to Impact Measurement. And I think that ESG is one of the most exciting emerging ideas and concepts come out of business. It's creating a truly double bottom line. I think finally we are looking at the world and realizing like profit is, as its own end, is an inadequate measure of good in the world. And so I think that ESG is a really powerful concept that rolls up to a budgetary bottom line instead of just a marketing piece. But I think that this is the impact economy. I really wish that more businesses would say, what have you learned about measuring impact and what have you learned about making impact? And so I think that there's a lot of early assumptions and mistakes being made by the business world around impact measuring that they frankly should be learning from nonprofits that have been doing evidence-based community transformation for a lot longer.
Yeah, spot on. And we've mentioned the impact economy several times. That's obviously like a core part of what we're doing at Pond, but I would love to just hear more broadly. We've obviously known each other for almost a year now, but now that you fully come on in an advisory position, I'd love to just have you share, like, what does Pond mean to you? What's exciting about it to you, and what compelled you to join this group?
Yeah, I feel like from the minute we met, I was like, okay, this is somebody who does not just think like everybody else in the space. So I was immediately drawn, Mitch, to you and your vision around that. And I would just have to say, like, I think as a founder, I just think that the passion and vision of a founder is really critical. And you know, even in our conversations, we get to places where I'm like, I understand the words that you're saying, but the vision that you have there, you just need to know, like, it's over the horizon line on what the rest of us can imagine. And so the first thing I would say is that you have the potential to imagine a future that is based on your background, working at Goldman Sachs, and in this world, you understand some things about this economy that I don't think everybody else can see because we've been in it too long. And so the first thing I would say is that I think it is truly inventive, not just innovative. I think you're inventing something new here. And I think that's really critical. And the second thing I would say is that I was really drawn to Pond when I was at a Montana conference, and I saw Pond being brought up multiple times as a way to go find out about technology. And I realized, like, if people in Montana are talking about this, that means that there is attention out there around this that is really captivating imagination. And I think, you know, I think we've got a long ways to go, But I think we're on the right path, and I think that this is an important. It's just so important for this to actually happen in this ecosystem. So did I? I forgot the question. Did I answer it?
You did.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
All right, good. Okay, good.
Awesome. Well, Tim, we are so excited to have you on this group and have your contribution and wisdom and guidance. So thank you for joining us. And like you said, there's a lot more to come. So we're excited to get to work.